Hello and welcome to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, the premier and flagship international podcast seller of online. I'm your host, Brandon Jones, and with me this week, all the geeks are back. You got your Danny K. Bartletts, your Nick Dawes, your Joseph Jammer Medinas, all in the room doing the thing. Talking about Godzilla versus What? What are you doing, Nick? No?
Yeah, we're still here. We're all here.
No, I think
We're
Nick was
here.
doing something weird.
I
I
saw
think
him,
Nick
like,
tapped his
reaching-
microphone or something.
Oh, okay.
I was.
Stop tapping your microphone.
I was.
Testing.
Shut
And
up.
on
Just keep
this
going.
week's
You're already
show-
attacking me.
On this week's show,
He didn't even say anything, and we attacked him.
Let me get the intro out for God's sakes before we start.
We hate him for his freedoms. That's what it is. On this week's show, we're going to be talking about Godzilla versus Kong, as well as a bunch of news. And on this episode, our newsy. So he's going to introduce our news topics. Jammer.
Yeah.
Take it
Call me
away.
Batman. Batman, because Batman started off as a newsie, as we all know. One of the
Oh, I thought
Batman.
you were going to say because one of the news topics is
Oh, no, I'm not that clever.
not that clever.
No, I go for the low-hanging fruit. That's what I
actually
do.
included
This-
that. I wanted to do like a news for Nick segment because I know he loves Long Halloween. So this was going to be news for Nick. This is going to be
Yeah,
Jack
he could do. You
Nichols.
could take that story. You could take that story. I have zero desire to take that story. You got it's all yours, Nick. When we get to actually, we're talking about it now. Nick,
We're
as the
talking about it
newsie, I'm passing it on to you. What can you tell us about Mr. Jensen Ackles?
Let me pull
What
it
was
up
that?
on the article.
I'm imagining him as like a German scientist,
Do you not know
like in
who
like
he
a Peter
is?
Sellers movie.
Do you not know who he is?
Yeah,
I know who he
You don't
is. Yeah, I know
Oh.
he's from Supernatural. Yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah.
I just like saying his name like that.
All right, I'm looking at. Anyway, we're talking about Halloween Part 1. It's my favorite graphic novel, and it's getting the DC animated treatment next. Just like Dark Knight Returns, it's such a long and impressive and influential story that they're doing it in 2 parts. For those unfamiliar with the story, I would say it's the biggest influence on The Dark Knight, as it is basically, there's a scene right in the comic that Nolan ripped directly, where it's the 3 men on the roof, Gordon, Batman, and Dent, and they all agree that no matter what happens to them, they need to take down crime in the city of Gotham. It's not particularly the Joker in the comic. It's actually a serial killer who only kills the mob and only does it on holidays, hence the long Halloween. But it's one of those stories like Hush that has every supervillain in it. Like there's a Christmas, he has to catch the Joker. Obviously, April is April Fool's, so he has to go talk to the Riddler. In fact, there's word that this comic is also influencing the Batman, which is how important it is.
To be clear, you mean the Batman for the new live action?
Yeah,
Batman movie,
the Batman. Yeah,
starring Robert Pattinson.
Not the Batman general.
yeah, exactly. I thought by throwing the in front of it, we were all obviously. I
I just want to make sure we're as clear as
because everything
possible,
is the.
because we can't assume that everyone listening knows everything that we do based on implications only.
Everyone knows the DC is turning into the universe. They should just call
like
it
it.
the DC universe.
I think it's called that. It's called TDCEU.
No, I don't think that that's the official name.
I know it's not. It never. No, it's
Okay.
not.
Oh.
The official name is the Worlds of DC, which is
Right.
malarkey and baloney and other words that aren't full swears.
Now
So
that this
anyway.
is all as clear as mud.
Exactly.
So what's the
But-
news?
The news is we got a voice cast, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, like I said, Jensen Ackles from Supernatural is going to be your new Bruce Wayne. And under the Red Hood, he actually played Red Hood / Jason Todd.
Jason Todd, yeah.
So, and unfortunately, one of the actress who plays Selena Kyle has passed. Naya Rivera from Glee actually died last July.
Oh.
But apparently, at least for part 1, I assume they recorded it all at once. Her
And this was a
Catwoman
while
dialogue.
ago. This was
Yeah.
probably, I want to say 2019 is probably when they recorded. So it's been a while.
Yeah. Like I said, yeah, because you record long before you animate.
Mhm.
And then we got Josh Duhamel as Harvey Dent. Interesting choice. He's like, really, I mean, like I said, this is the Dark Knight. So by the end of it, they're all broken, just like by the end of Dark Knight, The Long Halloween. Billy Burke as James Gordon. Titus Welliver as Carmine Falcone. I can't pronounce most of these names. David Dasmal Chain
Why
as
you have the
Calendar
story.
Man.
That's
What?
like your weakness. That's your kryptonite is
Yeah.
pronunciation.
I know this one's all names. Troy Baker as Joker, Amy Landecker as Barbara Gordon, Julia Matheson as Gildan Dent, which is his wife, and then Jack Quaid as Alberto. Jack Quaid, I'm especially happy he's in this, and Alberto's a great role for him because he's in The Boys, but he has also done voice acting for Star Trek Lower Decks. So
Yeah.
I don't know who most of these people are. I'm just happy this movie's finally happening. Like I said, it's my favorite Batman story. And it's written and directed by the same team that wrote and directed Superman Man of Tomorrow, which I believe is one of their more recent animated, right?
I have a question for you, and you might not know the answer to this then. So Superman Man of Tomorrow started off the new DC animated universe continuity. Do you know if this is supposed to be within that same continuity?
I hope not. Just because, like, when they did The Dark Knight Returns, it was its own continuity. Because, it's such a famous story that to make it fit within the universe, you're going to have to change it, I feel like, too much. Because this is a very... Long Halloween is actually an unofficial sequel to, but it's in the same universe as Batman Year
Short
One.
Christmas?
No, Batman Year One. It's actually a continuation of that story where he's still young. Falcone has his scratch from not Wonder Woman, from Catwoman that he got in that Batman Year One comic. It's the same Gordon. This is the first one with Dent. So yeah, what do you guys think about this cast, or even the Long Halloween becoming one of their next animated flicks?
I think it's pretty cool. I'm excited to. I'll watch it because I like the story for sure. I'm not sure how I feel about Mr. Eccles playing Bruce Wayne / Batman. I like him in Supernatural, but I have a hard time. I don't know. I always thought for some reason his voice got progressively raspier in Supernatural, and I always found it really weird.
Sounds like Batman to me.
I know that, but it always felt put on to me. It doesn't feel natural, which I think is just, it might distract me. Maybe it won't. We'll see. Either way, I'll definitely check it out. So good cast overall, I'd say, though.
I will say, have you guys ever seen a picture of the cover or any of the art? It's by Tim Sale. Yeah. It's my favorite Batman author. He has the incredibly long ears. Mm-hmm. They're would look silly in this. I don't think they're using them in this, even though that's the main thing. Because Dark Knight Returns.
So does that mean that you're out?
No.
Does that mean you're out? Know. You said that if you don't care, you're out. I distinctly.
You did say that. You said it was one of your rules.
Maybe I'm out right now. I don't know. They have an image, Hollywood Reporter, who made the announcement, and they never said it was from that. But I don't know why they'd show a different Batman animated image and not a picture from the comic if it wasn't from the comic. But yeah, it disappoints me if they lose that. I even have one of the Batman black and white statues I have is the only way I could buy a Tim Sale Batman. And I have a Long Halloween and a Dark Victory action figure, which are both Batman. Because Dark Victory is the direct sequel to this. That's where they kind of introduced Robin. And it's kind of like a trilogy. Right. From Year One through Dark Victory are his setup of Batman, but not Earth 2 or Earth 1 or whatever is the real Earth. Our Earth.
I think I do want to give my only comment. I was going to be surprised that they didn't do so. They've already done Year One. I will be interested to see if they continue on and do Dark Victory as the sequel.
I think it would probably be a while later, even if this is successful, because it took them forever to do this. So
it's been a long time since they did Year One.
I want to give credit where credit is due on this. This was actually first reported back in 2019 by Revenge of the Fans. And for those who don't know, that's the former site of former Los Fanboys co-host Mario Francisco Robles. So
they broke it back when it was announced. Nice.
Yeah, he broke it back when it was. Or no. He broke it. This is 2-year-old news, or at least the Jensen Ackles part of it is 2-year-old news. The rest of the cast, I don't think he had it, but just the Jensen Ackles part.
Oh, really? He even had the cast. Damn.
No, he only had the Jensen Ackles part.
I didn't know that because obviously the Hollywood Reporter is not it used to be a rumor from blah 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 that we confirmed. They're just no, we are announcing.
Yeah, they're shitty like that. So I just want to give credit where credit is due because of that. I hate that they never give credit to the sites that announced it 2 years ago, which I guess to their credit, there's so much stuff out there. It's hard to keep track of it. But when I know someone who is connected to the actual breaking of the news and that when it happened that long ago, I think it's nice to give credit where it's due.
Hells yeah. And that is Nick news or whatever. News for Nick. I'll see you next time when there's Mission Impossible news.
Really quick, Danny, I have a question. As someone who hasn't grown up in the US, when people do like the news thing and they go, is that like a trope that carries over across the sea? It is? Okay.
You got it. I knew exactly what you meant. Yep. That's probably from the years of TV and movies from America, in fairness. But yes, that's definitely something that I knew the reference. Jam, are you okay, buddy?
Oh,
I also decoded the Morse code message you just sent, and I agree. Fuck you.
I must say one last thing. I know Danny didn't comment because Danny's really only watched one of these still, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say
he's more of a movie guy than he is a comic guy.
Yeah, and you guys have been you have started my journey of the animated films. I've still got the list that Jonesy and Nick gave me a few weeks ago of where I should maybe start the Batman experience in the animated ones. So my question to you then, Nick, would this be something that you at the moment that you would think would go to the top, or I should still watch the other ones first in like story order, canon order kind of thing?
Well, it's interesting because even with the one we had you watch, this is like Joni and I keep recommending Batman the Animated Series, and none of these are related to Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, I apologize. Okay.
Because to be fair, Solo the Dragon you got kind of lucky on because that was Bruce Timm type animation more than anyone else, and Bruce Timm was involved. He's the one who designed the look for the animated series, which is simple enough for TV, but like it works really
stylized
well.
enough to look cool.
Yeah. Sure. So you haven't even seen. This is definitely something I'd recommend as a Batman fan as far as a story, but I do recommend you eventually get into Batman the Animated Series because that was the main thing we were talking about when we talk about. Yeah. When we were recommending animated Batman, we're like, that's the show.
Correct.
That's the 90s show. That was what Batman was for like a decade.
Okay. And I would say to bridge the gap, since you are more of a movie guy, I still say Mask of the Phantasm. Watch that.
Okay.
Which is part of the continuity. So that's actually a great idea.
Yeah.
And it's probably easier to find.
Then go ahead and watch the animated series.
It came out in theaters back in the 90s.
Yes. I remember getting into an argument with my mom based on that. Like, she was like, let's go to the movies. And I said, okay. We were in the car. And she's like, what do you want to see? I was like, I want to see Batman. And she's like, fuck you, I'm not going to see. She didn't say fuck you, but she said, fuck you, I don't want to go see the cartoon. And she was like, what about, I don't know if it was like Beethoven, like rollover Beethoven. Like, what was the I think it was just called Beethoven.
Beethoven's Second.
There's Beethoven's Seconds.
No. I was like, no, I want to see this. And we got into like an actual, and I think I was young. I might have been like 10.
Wow.
If that.
I just had a flashback.
What?
To Beethoven's Second. Beethoven? No, the romance. The romance.
I mean, Jammer, not Jonesy. What about Beethoven's Second?
About the romantic scene between Beethoven and the girl dog, and the song that was playing, and I just remembered it. It's as clear as day right now.
Can you remember the song? What was it?
Didn't you just say it was clear as day?
How'd it go?
You were like, it's clear as day.
Out like, the same old way. Then I look into your something.
Wow. I remember none of this, thankfully.
That's Jammer's random memory, ladies and gentlemen.
That was it.
Segment.
The Day I Fall in Love. That's what it's called.
I don't know about you guys, but all the dogs in my neighborhood just started barking when Jammer hit that high note then. That was impressive. They're all reminded now of Beethoven.
Anyway, sorry, Jonesy. You were saying something more relevant about your mom yelling at you.
He has told us the story before. Didn't you guys not even go to the movie because you raised such a fit?
Yeah, she was like, she was mad that we got into an argument about it, and I never apologized for arguing about it. So she was like, we're not going to the movie. Sounds like, fine, whatever. So I took it on the chin because I stuck to my guns.
So you could have indulged in Beethoven's Second, but instead you're just like, I'm not going to see anything instead.
I'd rather have no movie.
I disagree. No. Beethoven was a joy. The first two.
Mask of the Phantasm is a classic.
I agree. It's a better movie. I'm just saying you could have had a movie versus going home, sitting there in your room, crossing your arms and facing the corner with your shoulders
hunched. Playing with my Legos. It sounds like a great day.
Lego.
Okay. Mask of the Phantasm that day.
You're lucky people. You have Legos. I grew up with a single Lego brick, and I had to use my imagination on that thing. So
many things it could be.
So you should have had more Legos. That would have.
Lego.
I should have.
Wouldn't have, Danny.
All right, let's move on. We've had enough. Unless you have anything else to say about the Batman movie, Nick.
Nah.
Christmas.
I'm good.
Short Christmas. That was actually the production title. the working title that they use.
Christopher
Short
Nolan,
Christmas.
the working title.
Short Christmas. Love it. So great news, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you, and by those of you, I mean everybody who has seen Knives Out, because it's a fucking awesome movie. And if you haven't seen it, you can pause this podcast, go watch the movie, and then come back. I mean, we're not going to spoil it, but it's better than this podcast. So definitely watch
Please
that.
don't leave.
For sure. No, but it's got some great momentum going on. We already knew the sequel was coming, but really, obviously, since it's COVID, there hasn't been a lot in terms of overall updates.
Plus, he
because
has
COVID,
other gigs. I mean, not to interrupt,
Plus he has-
but like,
plus he
Ryan
has other
Johnson's a
gigs.
busy man. He doesn't have to commit to this next.
what else is he doing right now?
Star Wars.
Does he?
So
But he's
obviously
not really
working on
doing.
that. Well, you don't
Is
think
he?
he's working on a script for that? Like on and
No,
off?
I
He probably
think
has
no.
other independent projects.
I mean,
too,
maybe
like-
on and off. It's true, but like, because I guess the thing is that for me, I think he is going to do it eventually, but I think that's like 4 movies away, 5 to
Yeah,
10
but-
years away.
I don't know. I think you've started outlining. Anyway, we're
Maybe
off
he did.
topic.
Maybe he did. Maybe he did. That's very possible. But anyway, if you haven't checked out Knives Out, go watch it. But if you've been waiting for sequels like I have, it turns out that Netflix is close to crossing the T's and dotting the I's on a deal with Rian Johnson to bring not 1, not 3, not 4, but 2 sequels to the streaming platform. It's going to be, obviously, Daniel Craig is reprising his role as Foghorn Leghorn.
KFC.
Or-
like you said earlier.
CSI KFC.
KFC.
Anyway, Benoit Blanc, as the character's actual name is. And so there's going to be 2 movies coming out to Netflix, assuming this deal does go through. And the actual number behind it was $400 million. That's a lot of cheese. And
I thought it was
they must.
450.
Well,
I've
I'm
seen
looking at
both
Deadline. It says
reported.
400.
I've
Yeah.
seen 450
Yeah.
also. I don't know if they've been haggling with price or what.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that's just the rights to do it. I'm assuming that doesn't have to do with the budget. Not that the budget's going to be that ridiculous. The first one cost $40 million, so I think these one will probably be in that range, maybe like 60 to 70, just because why not? But I don't think it's going to be huge budget breakers. But it's a well-known property. Film fans love it. Mystery fans love it. Has a great and fun tone to it. I seriously can't say enough positive things about the movie. It was so well crafted, so well acted, so like it managed to have a legit it managed to be a legit mystery while still like being kind of tongue in cheek about it. Like it wasn't a parody, but it was still kind of gave knowing nods. So it really had a delicate balance there with how its tone was handled. And I think it's just done so well. So, Danny, you've been nodding along this entire time. How do you feel about Netflix taking the franchise away from your precious movie theaters?
Well, I to answer that question, I don't think they are. I think it will be a joint release thing, because these films are going to be what they're shooting. Did I read that it's shooting this summer or
First one shooting really
this
quick.
summer?
Mhm.
Yeah,
so
I think it's shooting this June, and then casting is beginning right away.
Yeah.
I think it's a great catch. There's obviously a huge amount of love for that film, and I was nodding along with you, Jammer, because I completely agree with you. I think it's a fantastic film, and with the budget being as low as it probably will be to make the movies, I think the goal is for Netflix to release this on the big screen as well as at their home. They've done that before. And I'm speaking from my experience here. I've been to the movies here and had the Netflix logo come up on the big screen just before I've watched it. So it's not something that they haven't done or they don't do. And so from that point of view, I think it's pretty smart. There'll be people that will be happy that they can watch it at home. But when this film is probably scheduled for release, so maybe early next year, maybe even late this year, I'm not quite sure, obviously, the movies will be open, shall I say, touching wood and fingers crossed, etc. So from their point of view, from financially, I think it's great. I think they're going to get money from the big screen and certainly have a lot of interest in their Netflix subscriptions not being cancelled. So I think it's smart. Super excited for me as a movie fan. I think it's great. Can't wait to have a couple more films, especially if they're as good as the first one was or is.
There's no way they're going to do a wide release for it, though. Probably just like limited
Alamo
release in
Draft
theaters.
House usually carries every Netflix movie, like Mank.
Yeah, but I know that
something.
affects
That's what I mean.
that affects
That's what I mean. Yeah.
that affects you and me. Like you and me, we're close to an Alamo Draft House, so that's totally fine. But I mean, like for normal human people who are in the middle of Pullman, Washington, for example, and there's just one random theater and that's it within 15 miles or 30 miles. And it's like, is it going to show there? Or are they just going to have to go to Netflix?
So that's what I was agreeing with you, is because Alamo Draft House is like one of the only kind of places that shows.
We have here the big cinema chains here. We've got three main ones that run across the whole of the Middle East and into parts of India and Pakistan as well. Those are the big chain ones, and those are the ones that will be showing this film. They're the ones that I've seen Netflix produced films or Netflix write films, whatever the deals are. So I think outside of the US, there's probably a wider reach, a wider big screen reach than maybe you guys are having in the US for Netflix films. So that's why I think it's kind of smart financially, because you will get those people do it.
So Jonesy, I have a question for you. The question is, obviously we mentioned Daniel Craig is coming back, as is Johnson. No word on any other actor coming back. Is there any character that you would like to see other than Daniel Craig return in any way, shape, or form for the story? Would you like to see maybe a Lakeith Stanfield or that other guy whose name I always forget, who's his co-cop, his partner, or maybe the other co-writer of whatever? Is he a co-writer of the story? I don't think he's a co-writer of the movie.
Most of Rian Johnson's films, all the way,
but
back
not this
to
one.
Brick. I think he might, maybe not this one. I have to look at it because,
anyway,
basically everything except for Star Wars, he's been heavily involved with. He's usually an actor too, like in this.
Right. Anyway, any other character that you would like to see it come back in any way, shape, or form for the sequel?
So I feel like I'm tempted both ways. I would like to see little cameos, like a universe building, but I also would like to see a different story. So probably for the third one, I want to see the second one be new story, new mystery for Daniel Craig, and then maybe in the third one they start bringing some of those back. So I want them to be gone long enough for me to.
Okay. So no Ana de Armas coming back for you yet?
Not for the second one, no. Maybe for the third
the second one.
Yeah, I think for the
kind of disappointing because he kind of coined her as his Watson, and now Watson's gone.
Well, that's the only reason I would bring her back. What if he does hire her because she's so good at,
and
almost
she's
so
like,
good
she's
at
rich.
committing crimes?
She's rich, so he has nothing better to do now, right?
She's more like his Batman.
One of the things that I think I kind of want to do off of these stories, every time I hear a story like this, especially about Netflix, I want to enter either an economist or somebody that just does movie statistics and all of that stuff, because I want to know the finance, how this works. Like, what is the value to Netflix versus when do they have to raise their prices versus what do they need to break even? Because every time we hear stories, I always want to know, what are the economics that make it to spend $450 million on what are essentially, if they go with the same budget, $80 million worth of.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure anyone knows the answer at this point. I mean, I guess there's lots of speculation, a lot of third-party services, but it's kind of impossible to tell what leads directly to a subscription and how long a subscription is kept and all that stuff. But I don't know, maybe in about 5 years when we all have $35 Netflix subscriptions, we'll finally understand.
Right.
We'll finally understand what's up.
I mean, I love it, and it's just a weird space that we can look at a Justice League and you're like, okay, success for Warner Brothers is just purely in subscription dollars, getting people to watch HBO Max. What is success for this movie, or the movie that we're going to be talking about later on, Godzilla versus Kong, right? This is a franchise for them. So what is success in this environment?
So here's my question for you, Nick. Nick, you are a writer. Yeah, you're the guy who likes to throw words together into some semblance of a story.
Yeah.
Voice of a generation. So where would you send Benoit Blanc next?
Neck? I don't know where I put his neck. I don't know. I like the idea though of doing. What's the guy from? Is it Perret? What's the guy in the Death of the Nile, which is what they're doing next?
Oh yeah, Hercule Poirot.
Yeah, I just want to see it done like that. He could be anywhere in the world solving a mystery.
Oh, so he could be anywhere. So you want to see him in the Czech Republic?
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't know why I thought about that.
I don't know, but no, but I definitely don't think we'll see him anywhere near the last one. There won't be he won't be bumping into Universal characters because he's just in the same. I don't remember what state or town that thing took. Was it even the South? He's from the South, but I don't think.
Yeah, he
is. It was East Coast or Upper East Coast.
No, yeah, it was Connecticut or something.
Yeah.
But didn't they say something about he's just one of the most famous?
Oh yeah, he's
detectives,
he's
which is why he was hired anonymously, but we know who hired him at the end of the movie. So yeah, I'd like to see him just anywhere. I don't think you need to bring back any characters. Though it would be nice if she was his Watson. That'd be pretty brilliant on Ana de Armas. But that's, I think, the other key to the movie is who they get, because Daniel Craig as that character is great. but he needs the right. Well, I'm sure the writing's there, but he also needs the right cast to bounce off of. And I think you keep one Avenger actor in every one. So maybe Chris Hemsworth
and have them be the killer.
One.
Have them be the killer every single time.
Just becomes a tradition. It was Chris Hemsworth. It was Robert Downey Jr. all along.
No, but like I agree. I think that's it really is key to make sure you surround with people, because the way it was structured, it was like she was the main character. Ana de Armas was the main character.
And the family is almost more interesting than him some of the times.
Yeah, that's the thing.
He's interesting, but he low key.
He was the spice in the sauce, whereas everything else was like the actual meal. Like he added to it in a great way, but he wasn't necessarily like what made it great. He added extra stuff to it, extra flavor. So yeah, it isn't really important who they get and what that story is and how it all plays out and how it connects with Blanc himself.
And that being said, I have complete faith in Rian Johnson when he's doing his own thing. Like,
I also have complete faith in him whenever he's doing a Star Wars movie. But
I like the Star Wars also. But like Brothers Bloom is still, I like even better. I
still
than
need
Looper.
to see that.
It's so good. It's basically
I don't like Looper.
It's totally the same universe as this. I'm convinced that maybe he could run into Brothers Bloom characters.
I think what Netflix should do is take advantage of their franchise abilities, and they should have Benoit Blanc solve a mystery in the Christmas Prince universe and like all of those Christmas movies.
Fuck off.
That would be
I just
glorious.
had a similar thought before you, but I love that you brought up Christmas Prince. They should definitely have him cross over with almost all their movie franchises. Like, isn't the Santa Claus Chronicles or whatever the fuck them?
No, that's higher quality. That's higher quality tier Christmas
not
movie than a Christmas Prince.
Movie though. So that would be like him solving the murder of Mrs. Claus for Kurt.
That'd be great. It's like, who did this? Who killed her with the hammer? And then like all of the elves put the hammers behind their back as they're working on toys.
But it was Pierce Brosnan all along. I think they should put more Bond actors into these.
Why? I'm surprised you haven't gotten to Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I thought you wanted to be an Avenger.
I think they should all have Mission Impossible actors.
Timothy Dalton.
Bing Rames in the next one.
He's alive, right?
Bing Rames is very much alive.
No, Timothy Dalton.
I know.
Yeah, he's alive.
Because I don't know. I guess Edgar Wright already did it, but
anyone else remember?
Pierce Brosnan's DC Universe now. I think that news was last week, or was that this week?
I think that was last week.
Okay,
we just didn't do it.
So no, I don't know. I'm excited for these, and I'll probably talk about during Godzilla versus Kong. But if you give me a movie at home, even if it costs money and it's at theaters the same day, I'm gonna choose home every time. My 40-inch TV is good enough. Like Godzilla versus Kong helped me realize that. Where it's like, I'm not going to the Suicide Squad. I'm not going to Black Widow. I'd pay to see it at home rather than pay to see it in theaters. So I think it's perfect that Netflix is picking up these movies.
Yeah, I mean, I'll see it. I'll see it in theaters. What the hell am I saying? I have a fucking Alamo Draft Horse right around the corner. I'm gonna go see it there, and then I'll watch it on Netflix afterwards.
What's a draft horse?
I was wondering the same thing.
All right.
What's on that note, horse?
On that
talking isn't easy, is it, Jeremy?
Talking is hard. I'm not gonna lie. So, do you ever have those moments?
Leghorn rides a draft horse.
So you know what? Here's what it is. You ever have those moments where like there's a part of your gums that is like really sensitive, like it's just like it's semi swollen and sensitive just for no reason for like a couple of days, and then it goes away for like 6 months to a year. No, am I the only one who has that?
You mean like herpes? Yeah, you mean herpes?
No.
Cold sores.
It's not a cold sore.
I think
it's basically like I just should have been flossing back there, and then now it's finally come around and
that's me every time. I mean, that's me every day. I go to the dentist. They're like, "Have you been flossing?" I was like, "Yeah, for the past week to try to not get in trouble this week." And I went to the dentist this week, so it's relevant.
My point is, my gums.
Nick, why are your gums inflamed? Because I was trying
every time they're like, "That could cause heart disease," and I'm like, "Yeah, but flossing's boring."
But my point is that the bottom part of my gums is really kind of swollen, so I'm having difficulty talking. So that's the reason for that. So
that's my excuse every show.
You were telling a very long story for why we should feel bad for you because you're flubbing words, and I got it.
All right. Well, as you all know, Rian Johnson is equipped eventually to maybe eventually take on a Star Wars movie. But until then, we have lots of amazing TV shows that we get to enjoy, including the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series, of course, starring Ewan McGregor. We've known for million years that he's coming back to take on the role. And as we here at LRM Online reported, I want to say last June, Hayden Christensen is also returning as none other than Darth Vader. And but he's not alone. He is not alone. Obviously, there's going to be more than 2 people in this series. And we have a full cast list courtesy of Lucasfilm themselves. In addition to McGregor and Christensen, we also have Moses Ingram. We have Joel Edgerton, who I'm assuming is coming back to play Uncle Owen, which is cool. I'm interested to see how Uncle Owen is going to play into the story. Yeah. So for those who don't know, he played Owen in episode 3, literally just a shot, because why not? And that was before he was famous. But anyway, we have Bonnie P.S. or Peace. We have Kumail Nanjiani, Indira
That was what
Varma.
interested me.
Wait, so before you move on, so Bonnie was Baru.
Yeah, they're both.
Oh,
back.
Was that Baru? Okay.
Obviously, because they don't die. We know when they die.
Yeah.
They're one of those Star Wars characters that we know when they perished.
Spoiler.
What if this basically twists it like Maleficent, where it's like that wasn't them, and they go off on their own adventure doing other things the entire time?
Is that how the Maleficent plot?
Really
I don't care.
Oh, I'm saying Maleficent because they just twist what we know into something that is completely different.
Yeah, but this is Star Wars. You can't have any creativity in Star Wars. It's all set.
That's a good point.
Yes.
Rupert Friend is also joining the cast, along with O'Shea Jackson Jr., Sung Kang, Simone Kessel, and Benny Safdie. Nick, out of all of these actors, Kumail Nanjiani is the one that really appealed to you. Tell us
name
why.
I knew besides Joel Edgerton.
Oh, was that the reason why?
I just like it's following the rule that I like. It's not a rule, but like it's cool. Where you're
It's
seeing
like a
more and more
Nick
actors.
Dahl inspired rule making.
No. It's
Lucasfilm was like, we have
just-
this rule.
Yeah, we have the doll rule here at Disney. No, it's fun to see Marvel and Star Wars actors bounce back and forth. As far as Kumail, just like the villain of Winter Soldier, bounced right out of Han Solo. I mean, Solo was Star Wars story.
Who in Winter Soldier?
I mean, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, you're talking about the
Enfys girl, the young girl.
Nest.
Yeah,
Enfys Nest, who's now a part of that organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, you say Winter Soldier. I was like, Sebastian Stan?
Maybe I forgot to say Falcon. My bad. But like Sebastian Stan, it would be cool to say him play Luke, as we seen in the past series. But
no,
I don't know. I think the series will be awesome. Hopefully, because I mean,
you really
as much as I hate the Skywalker saga, I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. But a lot of people are complaining. It's like, are we gonna see 10-year-old Luke? And it's like, I don't know.
Probably.
I'd rather not be seeing
I agree.
Uncle Owen and Aunt Brew at all. But it's already like, I don't know. What I really don't want to see is Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader. It's just they keep screwing up.
Imagine? I don't understand. I don't quite understand how it's gonna work as Darth Vader. Well, he could just be a flashbacks or whatever. Because if it's not flashbacks, it's gonna be weird hearing his voice coming out of that helmet and not James Earl Jones.
Well, they would do James Earl Jones. It would just be.
I know that.
Yeah, they would do.
I know.
It's just like, why have him walk around in the costume?
I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to
There
find
have
out.
to be flashbacks to Anakin in some way, and yet we've seen there's only one scene between them in continuity before he gets the suit. Like he shows up, they fight, and then he's in the suit.
They're going to make a lot of people upset, and what I think they're going to do is they're going to show him outside of the suit, because if you read the comic books, there are lots of scenes with him getting more legs, getting new arms, having different cybernetics attached to his body. He spends a lot of time outside of the suit in the comic. So I think that might be why you get some of this stuff. But I think the thing that will mess that up for people is now people will have like an X-Men timeline question of how do you get from James McAvoy to Patrick Stewart in like a 10-year time span. So the same way you're going to be looking at these movies going, how the fuck do you get from Hayden Christensen to, I can't think of the guy that played him in Return of the Jedi, in such a short time span. So people are going to have to suspend their disbelief if that's what they end up
and
doing.
Obi-Wan and Joel Edgerton. The 20 years technically.
Edgerton.
This is 10 years after Sith, but someone was complaining about Uncle Owen not aging enough. I'm like, technically he's aged 10 years since we've last seen him, the actor himself.
Yeah, not even technically. He just has. Like
no,
15
exactly.
years.
Yeah, even more than the time that's passed in the universe. But yeah, there still is like that. Whoa, Tatooine really fucks people up. like comparing like
It's that sun.
yeah,
It's
McGregor
that sand. It's that
Sun's
sand. It gets
plural.
everywhere. I hate it.
all the crevices.
Jonesy, is there anyone on this cast list
Yo.
that stands out to you? No?
I'm just curious, are they going to kill Sung Kang and then try to figure out how to retcon that later to bring him back? Because that's Han from the Fast and Furious movies.
I know. Someone wrote up
So I
the
was
story
curious when they're
like
gonna
that,
try
where
and
it's
do
like
that.
a character who played Han is now in the Star Wars universe. And I'm like,
Yeah.
very clever.
And so his name is actually on his driver's license Han Solo. So that's his canonical name in I promise.
Oh my
That's
god.
his name in it's either the Fast and Furious or Better Luck Tomorrow. I think he's the same character in Better Luck Tomorrow. The Fast and Furious.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Fast and the Furious. Crossover. That's how they get Fast and Furious in space, which is the rumor of the next one. Get sucked into a wormhole.
It's the strangest thing.
Which takes Dom into
That's
a
basically
far away.
That's really weird because that basically makes Earth canon in the Star Wars universe, and I'm pretty sure Earth doesn't exist in the Star Wars universe. Period.
Why?
In my
Think
mind,
It's a long
in
time
my
going
head
to
canon.
galaxy far, far away. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It has to be far away from something, presumably from ours.
Touche. Okay. All right. In a single sentence, you have changed my mind. You have changed my mind. Good job. Danny, is there anyone else on this list that sounds interesting to you in terms of cast?
Only for me, Ewan McGregor. I fucking love this guy as an actor, and so anybody else is just going to be sprinklings on his wonderful cake, so to speak. I think he's awesome. I think this guy is fantastic. I even love watching the documentaries that he does with his motorbikes and stuff. I think the guy is fantastic. So if he's signed on and if he's agreed to do this, I'm 100% confident it's going to be a great time. Whatever they decide to do with the story and however they decide
guitar.
Yeah, oh yeah. At the same time, as much as I love him, I fucking hate him because he's such a talented guy. He can do everything, and he's got a lightsaber. I mean, love the guy.
Yeah, it seems like a decent
envious
human
as
being,
fuck.
like all of that stuff.
True. Yep, absolutely. Yep. So if he's in it, Jamet, then I'm sold straight away. As soon as he said it was a signed deal for him to be reprise his role as Obi-Wan, boom, I'm in, sold, done. Don't care who anybody else is.
There, Danny was in.
Excuse me. Well, that was pretty good. That was 45 minutes in before we went.
You missed an opportunity there, Nick. It should have been, you had me at hello there.
Oh,
I mean, so my favorite part is that Danny was restraining himself earlier when you were talking about your guns. Like I could see Danny over like, oh, I don't want to.
Talking about what?
So
I almost made a comment out Danny's thing where it's like Kamal is the frosting, and then everyone else is sprinkle on top. He's the frosting on Ewan McGregor.
everybody, check your watches.
Oh God!
Oh, synchronize. Okay.
I think that was 40
52 minutes. That actually took a while, or about 40 minutes.
Well, the first 10 minutes was our regular nonsense. The listener didn't get to enjoy that, I don't think.
Pre-show bullshit.
Yep.
The pre-show bullshit. So, any last words or things that you want to talk about in regards to Star Wars or Obi-Wan Kenobi? Are we going to manage to go this entire time without actually bringing up what?
Well, I'd like to fire a question at you guys, and it's one that I put onto our Discord channel. No one has got back with a should we say an interesting response yet. So the listener and you three with me today, with the abundance of new Star Wars shows coming at us. I know Nick, you and I had a little bit of a chat about this. What do you guys think of the future of the films moving forwards with all the new TV shows? It's with respect to things being in canon. So, Jammer, you mentioned earlier with Rian Johnson, maybe on the back burner, but it will come, but 3 or 4 years, because all the TV shows are going to be canon, which makes it very difficult to make films right now without knowing what's taking place in all the TV shows. TV shows. Now I've got something in my gums. Yeah. That's because I don't floss enough, apparently. I don't floss enough. Now I'm fucking up my words.
Am I seriously the only one who has that problem where their gums randomly swell at random times?
Yes.
Is it not even weather related?
Although mine just did.
I've heard that lots of people have heard it. It's not just.
It's not. Okay.
So yeah, what do you guys think? New TV shows affect the films in any great way, big way, good way, bad way?
I just hope that
wait
the
longer,
next
or
films,
what do you think?
the next films are in a galaxy farther and farther away than what we've been dealing with, because I just don't want them to connect. I know that's foolish of me, but it's gonna happen. I've been waiting for it. It's not gonna happen though, because as The Mandalorian proved, connecting them makes fans wet themselves with joy. And be it, like, I should deprive fans from enjoying things. So if they want to go ahead and do that, I guess they can do that. And I think they pretty much have set the stage for them to keep on doing stuff like that, because fans love it. So I think they'll find a way to make it fit into the timeline. I don't think they'll go out of their way to make things too distant as much as I want them to.
So what you would like then is for the films to be set away from the TV shows, basically, because the TV shows all look like they're going to be connected. And so why not have the films in the same galaxy, but just a little bit further away, and keep the TV shows as canon, so to speak, have them all linked and intertwined somehow.
Well, one of them is different. I mean, like High Republic, right? The one.
But they'll find a way to connect it. They'll find a way.
Yoda's going to be in there.
Yeah, Yoda's going to be walking around going and doing his thing.
200 years younger I am. Still old and gross I look.
No cane.
We're gonna see Yoda. We're gonna see things that were mentioned before that gonna connect and be like, oh, that connects to the thing. That's a part of the thing. And then everyone's gonna be like, yeah, exactly. The freaking Once Upon a Time in Hollywood meme. So yeah, that's gonna happen. I'm just gonna have to accept it and get over it. So yeah, Jonesy? I think they will connect.
I fell off toilet and now prophecy I have.
What's that mean?
Slight Back to the Future reference. And
oh wow, that was a sly reference.
He makes up the prophecy. He just makes it up. He's like, "There'll be a chosen one someday, maybe in 200 years. I don't know."
I'm of two minds about it. Like, I agree with Jammer. Like, I feel like I switch positions every time we talk about this. I am tired of the Skywalker saga. Like, I'm done with it. I'm over with it. What I do like that The Mandalorian did was Star Wars Rebels, so characters from that. So you got to see folks from the Clone Wars / Star Wars Rebels, and you might get to see more of that. And so it will be connected, but not necessarily to the Skywalker saga. So for me, getting to see Ahsoka Tano on Mandalorian was awesome, and I wished that is the direction that they had gone with the movies, because I feel like what they were trying to do with Rey, they actually did a much better job with throughout the course of the Clone Wars with Ahsoka Tano. Like, she is that character, and in fact, she's a stronger character to me. I hate talking about Rise of Skywalker, but she wanted to be a Jedi in Rise of Skywalker and all sort of stuff. But Ahsoka, to me, was a stronger character because she saw what the Jedi were, and she rejected that and chose her own path. And so to me, that's a more interesting character, and I love seeing her story. So Danny, to answer your question, that's the story that I want to see going forward. Somebody who chooses their own path, and it's divergent than what we've seen. So going back to The Last Jedi, that's kind of where I thought that they were going to go with that story of, like, here are the mistakes that they made, and here are the things that we're going to do better going forward. And that's what she's done. So that's the story that I'm.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good too. Yeah, that's all I have for that, Jammer. Star Wars, just tying back to what we're trying to get the conversation for people on Discord.
Okay. Anyone else have anything they want to share in regards to Star Wars?
Negative.
No? All right. Well, as you may have known, several months back, it may have been pre-COVID. No, it wasn't pre-COVID. There's no way it was pre-COVID. There was a Powerpuff Girls series that was announced that was going to be popping up at the CW, because they like to take things that, we watched as kids and age them up, i.e. Riverdale, i.e. anything else. And they're doing the same thing with the Powerpuff Girls. The Powerpuff Girls, as you know, they are, these little pint-sized superheroes back in Cartoon Network, and they save the world against the likes of Mojo Jojo and many other quirky, really weird, fun villains. And they spent most of their days the Rowdy Rough Boys. Sorry,
I forgot about that. It's been a long time since I watched it. I remember Mojo Jojo. I didn't remember
the Rowdy Rough Boys. I remember that. And there was actually also a Powerpuff Girls anime that wasn't very good. It was called Powerpuff Girls Z. Not very good. Very boring. It was boring. Anyway, it's coming to the CW, and it takes place years later after, they're 20 something years old, and they have lost their childhood to the world of crime. and they regret it. They're pretty upset about it. And so that's the story we're going to be following in the CW. And I expect it's live action. Yes, to be clear, it is live action. So I expect there will be all sorts of random sex throughout. I'm expecting this to be
Mojo
Riverdale,
Jojo.
essentially. With Mojo Jojo, yeah, obviously.
Oh my god!
And we have.
Suddenly, I'm interested.
And we, yeah, right. It's a lot more interesting now. And it looks like we have a cast, or at least the starts of a cast. We have Donald Faison, and for those who don't know, he played that one guy from Remember the Titans. Y'all know what I'm talking about there, but obviously more famously, he was in Scrubs. He played
Turkington or Turkleton.
Yeah.
Oh, Turk.
Yeah, he played him.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, he's going to be Professor Utonium, the guy who was very, very careless in his lab safety and basically just shattered
spice and
a
everything
vial.
nice. And what else did he add?
X all over the place, baby.
Shattered a vial of chemical X all up into his, his
X.
cocktail of shit.
Sugar,
What is it? Oh, okay.
Spice, everything nice.
Anyway, he's not the only one that was announced. We also got the Powerpuff Girls themselves that have been announced. We have
that was a few months ago, but
was that a few months ago? Okay,
I don't know who they are, so might as well bring.
He's joining a cast that includes Chloe Bennett as Blossom, Dove Cameron as Bubbles, and Yana Peralt as Buttercup. So, Danny. Oh wait, you have nothing to contribute to this.
I got nothing.
Jonesy.
Sorry,
Jonesy, how do you feel about the casting of Professor Utonium?
So, generally speaking, I think the cast is interesting. I also did not know until recently that this is a Berlanti show. So all of the CW superhero shows are his. And so this is going to be one of them. So if you know the tone of like The Flash or Arrow, basically the Arrowverse shows.
Legend of Tomorrow, I bet it's wackier than.
To be fair, Riverdale also is Greg Berlanti.
Yeah.
Riverdale is also Greg Berlanti.
Yeah.
And that is nothing like those shows.
That's true. Maybe, so I think you're right when you're talking about like the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So this will probably be a perfect mix for him, getting to delve into those two worlds. I like Donald Faison. It'll be interesting to see him as Professor Utonium. Given that the girls are grown up, it seems weird because he seems relatively young.
That's because he last saw him in Scrubs like 15 years ago, dude.
That was my thought exactly with Joe. I thought the same thought as Jonesy. I'm like, he doesn't look.
Well, how old is he? See,
I don't know.
And let's be real, he doesn't have to be an actual parent age. Well, I guess he does.
Well,
he does, because he was parent.
No, he doesn't
in the original. So I know that there are any number of reasons that you can make up, like the chemical X made them age faster, or something like.
No, because they came out. They didn't come out at age 1. They came out like age 8 or however old they were. They didn't grow up. They came out full form, right?
Okay, and then they're
am I wrong?
Like what, 30s, early 30s, late 20s, early 30s?
They're 20 somethings. I think they're 20 somethings. They're 20 somethings.
So 15 years. So that would make him. He'd have to be like 45, 50 at least.
And he's 46 in real life.
Oh, damn.
So it works. It works. The math does not lie.
Math doesn't lie. I like the cast. I like Chloe Bennett a lot. I think you're going to get a lot of people, depending on how. I think the Buttercup thing is the most, not necessarily interesting. It is interesting to me that you would cast a black woman as the angry Powerpuff Girl.
Oh shit!
And I feel like somebody's going to say something about that. But we'll have to see how that plays out. Like maybe she's gotten over her anger issues, and Bubbles is the angry one now. So
yeah,
I think
probably
that's interesting. It's a good cast. I'll probably watch it.
Yeah, I'll watch the first 5 I'll watch the first 3 episodes. Oh, I loved it growing up too. I thought it was great, and I liked the movie that came out too. But I didn't really. I haven't watched it since 2003, maybe. I don't know when it came out or when it ended, but I probably just watched most of the first few seasons of that.
So hold on a sec. I scrolled down, looked at the TV line casting list, and so they said Peralt, her Buttercup, was the rebellious badass of the Powerpuff Girls in its heyday. More sensitive than her tough exterior suggests, Buttercup has spent her adulthood trying to shed her Powerpuff Girl identity and live an anonymous life. I'm curious, are they going to have her have gone through therapy and changed a little bit?
I think that would be more. I'm sure they're going to get to the fighty, but I think a more interesting show is, even like a little bit of the Winter Soldier thing where they have to go around and not necessarily apologize, but like she's like getting coffee with Mojo Jojo and I talk about the old days, and you still have them like animated like Gorilla Groot or something, Grodd. But it's not actually fighting each other. It's just like, hey, remember the time I kicked your ass? And it's like, I remember the time I almost took over the world. And it's just like, that's the show.
She's like, you never almost took over the world. Yes, I fucking did, bitch.
Yeah.
And then they
kill you.
Move on there.
Shall we get back to sex?
What the fuck? I didn't expect that.
I already brought it up earlier.
Suddenly I'm interested again.
Oh yeah, you brought
it off.
I didn't bring it up with him, but that's if they want to level up from the sex, the age limits in Riverdale, having high schoolers have sex with their teachers. I guess the next level is interspecies sex. So
with also age difference.
I mean, is there age difference?
No, JoJo's an adult.
Is he though?
Yeah. No.
Is he though?
Show.
I don't know. I think
he's an ape.
He was the same as them. Right. Like
he was an ape that was
yeah.
exposed to, I forget what happened. Something happened to him and made him smart. And then he was a smart ape.
Someone exposed himself to an ape and he got what?
Damn it.
An ape exposed himself. Sorry, I should keep jumping in and out of this conversation. It's random. Someone exposed himself to an ape.
Here's the other thing I'll say, because I know Danny hasn't seen it, so I'm going to take his turn. I'm going to say this. The thing that I'm more interested in the show is I really like the cast. I'm really curious who they're going to get as villains in the first season. Or if they're going to go back to that pool of folks, or we're going to get like the Amoeba Boys and the Rowdy Rough Boys and like all of those like Fuzzy Lumpkins and all those folks. Like, what are they going to do? I feel like Princess Morbucks has to be in the show. So
who?
She was the little girl, Morbucks. She was the one with the red hair and the crown.
I have to look that up. I don't remember that one. At least not by name.
She basically looked like them, but like a brat.
Oh yeah, I remember her. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I tell you what, one character that is going to be interesting if they tackle is going to be very different if they do is him. Was that the character?
The devil?
Yeah. It was basically like a cross-dressing devil, or it was very like sexually ambiguous devil.
Yeah. Why do you think they can't do that on CW when they did it on Cartoon Network?
I mean, that was 20 years ago versus now.
That was Cartoon Network. CW
20 years
weird
ago.
Shit going on.
20 years ago, though. But I mean, like, because I don't know, it's more socially
acceptable.
What
if they handled it with taste? I understand what you mean now about, it's not about being appropriate for audiences. It's about
the political climate.
And
a change in, what we're accepting of as a society.
Well, if they made one of the Powerpuff Girls gay, surely they do. Yeah, they kind of
surely
have
they
to
will
for diversity.
Surely, I mean, they don't have to, but they probably will.
Yeah.
I was expecting you to say more, and you had no embellishment. You were like, they will.
Surely.
Any last thoughts about this, Nick? Do you have any last nuggets to add to the Powerpuff Girls news?
I probably won't watch it, but I'll wait for the trailer.
Fuck
it looks like other CW shows.
Is it a rule that you won't watch any CW show that doesn't include Batman?
No, that's the John Constantine rule in this. I've only seen Legends of Tomorrow, and the only other episodes I've seen are the Arrow episodes with John Constantine.
We need to start writing down these Nick Dalton.
This isn't a rule this time. He said it. I'm not even interested. They don't even have a version of Batman except for Infinite Worlds Earths, do they?
Batman ears. No, Batman short ears. Short
ears. Yeah.
Anyway, the CW thing isn't the rule. I just love Constantine and don't have time for a whole universe of shows with.
It's like I don't have time for a universe of shows that doesn't include Constantine. It's a Constantine or bust with me.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't even watch a Batman show because I made it through like 2 seasons of Gotham and was like,
Yeah, I agree with that.
But that wasn't a Batman show.
Well, it hits all the points that would normally hit with me where I'm like, at least I'm getting my villains. Normal. It was
the worst version of a small.
Yeah, no, I agree. But like normal,
the proto version of all these people, and then
I agree about that. It's just normally back in the day, it's like that's definitely a show Nick watches all of because it's Batman adjacent, and it has Harvey Bullock as a character.
Yeah,
but yeah.
All right. Are we gonna want to tackle this Wonder Woman story, or do you guys want to move on to Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus Kong?
I mean, we can mention it. Connie Nielsen was like, hey, this movie didn't do well. People criticized it because of the delay, not because it was a bad movie. She's wrong. It was a bad movie.
Yeah, disagree with her.
That's the story.
She basically, okay, the story was, to be clear, it was because it was delayed and therefore had expectations built around it. Also, that it was a sequel to a very successful movie and it will always be compared to it. So that's what she said. I agree.
Part
It would
makes
always,
a little
it would
sense.
always be true. Yeah, it would always be true because the first one was good. That compared to its predecessor, that's every fucking movie.
Yeah,
Every
same with
sequel that comes out is
anticipation.
compared to the first one.
Like, I mean, we'll
Yeah.
get into what we all think about Godzilla, but that would be affected by exactly the same thing. Not the sequel part, but it's like people have been waiting for it because it got delayed a year. That's gonna be the same about all. What she's saying should be. We're gonna dislike every movie that was delayed by
What should be saying is,
COVID.
yeah, you're right. It would apply to everything.
Because like those got pushed back too, so now the hype is huge and no one's gonna like yada yada movie.
Godzilla versus Kong.
All right, Godzilla versus Kong. Let's hop right into. Oh well, before we get. Oh wait, no.
No. I was finishing his sentence.
Okay. Well, Godzilla versus Kong. Let's hop into the review of the week. Unless you guys want to do a quick Winter Bird. The hell's it called?
But I have a question.
Are we
Did you
doing
guys know
Winter
that
Bird? So we
Snowbird
haven't seen it.
Okay, has no one seen it yet? Okay.
The third episode we haven't. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not out yet.
Did you get
Okay.
a preview, Jonesy?
No, I didn't.
Only
After
the
this
first
one?
one, right?
Yeah. What were you saying, Nick? Did I know that what? Or did we know that what?
Oh, that Snowbird. We were calling it Snowbird watching. Do you guys know what the other what Snowbird is a slang for? My mom knew immediately and wasn't happy we were using the name.
I didn't know
Uh-oh.
snowboard
Yeah.
was a slang for something. What's
Yeah.
the slang for?
Jonesy.
Yeah, it's the slang for people that go to warmer weather climates.
Well, mostly older people,
Oh.
like who moved to Florida, was my mom's example.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
was
I don't know if
expecting
it's
something a
offensive
lot
or not,
worse when you
so-
said that. I was
No,
expecting
but
some sort of.
I don't know if it's even just slang
Why
or
didn't she
offensive
like
to old
it?
people. I don't know. Well, she's like, you know what that means, right? Just like I kind of said. Where I'm like, wait, what does it mean? And she's like, old people like me moving to Florida. And I was like, oh,
I thought it was perfect because Winter
Lucky's
Soldier
old.
is old.
yeah. That's why I thought it was
Yeah.
doubly brilliant.
Yeah, I felt like
Snowbird
that's why I was like, this all works together. Even though Chandler was like, fuck you, I want a different name. I was like,
He's
this
like Winter Bird.
I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what
It was
I said. Oh, yeah, probably
Winterbird.
Winter. Was it Winterbird?
And I'm like, we gotta switch out both words.
Yeah.
Should we
All
just
right,
be
let's
people
move on.
watching?
Jammer, you go. Who
Okay.
talks?
Well,
I talk. How's this work? How's the podcasting work?
okay. I'm gonna go ahead and start our review of Godzilla versus Kong, the fourth movie in the MonsterVerse, following Godzilla, following Kong Skull Island, and following Godzilla, King of the Monsters, where these two
I'm gonna argue it's the
titans
fifth.
finally face off. Why would you argue that? Why would you
It's a
argue
big
that?
one. It's a big one.
Which one? Wait. A Pacific Rim?
Anyway,
Oh, the anguish on your face is so delectable.
I don't.
Taste those tears.
I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed, mostly because I.
Scott Malkinson.
Malkinson chili. Oh yeah. Let me taste
Anyway.
tears.
That's a-
Cheers.
Oh wait, that was Scott Tenorman.
Oh yeah.
Was it Tinnerman? That was
Tenorman
Malkinson.
chili.
Tinnerman?
I think it was Tenorman. Yeah,
Oh,
I call it
eating your
Mr. and Mrs.
parents.
Tenorman.
Malkinson.
Scott Malkinson is the kid who has the diabetes. Like I'm Scott Malkinson.
Right. There are too many Scots on that show.
That's
Two is too
two.
many.
Yeah, 2 is too many.
Two's too many.
Anyways,
My
let's
name is
talk.
Scott.
Let's talk Godzilla versus Kong. What?
My middle name.
Oh, it is. That's your middle name. Doesn't
Yeah.
count. Middle names don't count. The middle names are basically there's like why have a middle name? They don't matter. Yeah.
This is our only chance. We have to take it. We need Kong. The world needs him to stop what's coming. And this child, she's the only one he'll communicate with.
I knew that they had a bond. She had nowhere to go, so I made a promise to protect her. And I think that in some way, Kong did the same. Godzilla.
Legends collide in Godzilla vs. Kong as these mythic adversaries meet in a spectacular battle for the ages, with the fate of the world hanging in the balance. Kong and his protectors undertake a perilous journey to find his true home, and with them is Gia, a young orphan girl with whom he has formed a unique and powerful bond. But they unexpectedly find themselves in the path of an enraged Godzilla, cutting a swath of destruction across the globe. The epic clash between the two titans, instigated by unseen forces, is only the beginning of the mystery that lies deep within the core of the Earth. As of this recording, it has 206 reviews from critics and a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 95% audience score. Let's go ahead and start with the first of us who saw this film,
Me.
Mr. Danny Bartlett. What did you think of Godzilla versus Kong?
Are we going to go with the Twitter review, and then we'll dive later into the?
Let's start non-spoilery Twitter, and then we'll move.
Let me just get my extensive notage about this movie, but I will skip a page to the Twitter review that I wrote, hoping that I would avoid spoilers. So I'm actually going to read it word for word, right, including without the lisp on my swollen lip. The title says it all. Two giants of the screen finally get to fight in the Hollywood UFC. The writer's time was clearly spent helping the fight choreographers and therefore spent no time at all on the human characters.
Okay.
Hashtag better characters needed.
Hashtag restore the Snyderverse.
Nope.
Yeah.
Restore the Monsterverse.
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to see it last week. We had it on the IMAX screen here. So although I do agree with some of what Nick was saying earlier about, when you've got a decent TV set up at home, etc., you don't need to go to the big screen. But this film is one of those films that I do feel benefited from seeing it on the IMAX, seeing it as it was meant to be seen. It looked fantastic. It sounded fantastic. The fight scenes were incredibly impressive. I thought the special effects were wonderful. It's just that the human characters, although some criticism from the films in the past about having too much human character and not enough of the monsters, I think they went overboard on this one. We had some great scenes with the two title characters, but the human people around, I found most of them pointless and the others just badly written. So we'll go into deeper on that, I'm sure, later on. But that was the disappointment for me. Visually, fantastic. Depth in the characters, completely lacking. That I was disappointed by that.
I'm going to hop in just because I can with my impressions. I think a lot of what Danny said is correct in terms of the movie. It looked beautiful. So much beautiful, images. It looks gorgeous. The CG is great. But the movie, especially with regards to the human characters, as I put in Slack, I think I put, wow, this movie is hot nonsense. It just makes no goddamn sense. Like you mentioned, the humans were useless. I don't know if they were useless as much as I had no idea what the fuck was going on. An hour and a half into the movie, I was like, I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand who's doing what or why they did what and how I still don't know how Millie Bobby Brown and, the freaking kid from Deadpool and the podcast guy, Fire Fist from Deadpool, how they ended up where they ended up and how they all ended up getting they ended up sprouting out into Hong Kong. I was like, how?
That's where the fucking tunnel went.
The tunnel that went from fucking Florida to Hong Kong.
Yeah,
okay, sure.
Super secret tunnel with all the super secret tech they've been doing.
So this tunnel went underneath Africa, or it went underneath the US the other way. But this giant fucking tunnel, and they built a dome over an island.
Okay. Danny.
Whoa,
Danny,
God
don't
damn
get
fuck.
your star.
These notes, fuck them.
So let's not go too deep into it. Nick, what did you have to think? What did you have to say about? What do you have to say about this in a Twitter review about Kong versus Godzilla?
Fun popcorn, utter nonsense. I had no problem. A fun popcorn, utter nonsense of a movie. It is utter nonsense. I enjoyed it. I thought it was visually stunning compared to all the other movies they've tried, except for maybe Kong's. This had a specific, I'll say, Pacific Rim look. I think they copied the look a little bit, and that made it all the better and more colorful.
It's like a cross between Skull Island and Pacific Rim. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't know. I always lean on the human characters because that's the more interesting part. The monsters are just fighty. So I actually thought this was the strongest of all the movies except for Kong Skull Island as far as human characters. And I know this is longer than a Twitter review, but I actually am glad I watched Godzilla King of the Monsters before it, because I actually do like the world they've set up. Like where it's like, here's how the Titan hierarchy works. This is why they woke up. This is why Godzilla and Kong have to fight. So, except for I will add about Godzilla King of the Monsters, that is such a filler movie. Like aside from setting up the cool Monarch stuff, like,
I don't think it is.
There's nothing in that movie.
I don't think it is as stupid.
It shows every monster except for Kong in that movie.
If anything, the first one is more of a waste of movie. The reason why is because the second one sets up that hierarchy. It sets up saying like he basically fought his way through all these different monsters, and now it's just like you have to hide the other alpha, otherwise he's going to start attacking the other alpha. So it's like can't have two alphas, and that kind of set the stage for this one. So I think it's a very important movie.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's a world building movie. It's not a movie. I don't know. Again, it felt like it was stalling. Where it's like, well, we can't. For some reason, we're not doing Godzilla versus Kong next after they both have a movie. So let's just have a Lannister shoot Randy, the teacher from Stranger Things, in the back of the head in like the first 20 minutes. And I was like, no.
You're referencing really specific things. I think the big weakness I have about these movies as a franchise as a whole is like I don't remember any of these movies. I saw them years ago, each of them, and I've only seen any of them once. Yeah. So what you just said made no sense to me. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that happened.
Well, I just watched it the day before yesterday for the first and only time King of the Monsters.
Jonesy, I left you last because on Slack you implied a potential, Godzilla versus Kong-esque battle to take place within this podcast between you and Danny, which makes me think that you were a huge fan of this. So tell me, give me your Twitter review for Godzilla versus Kong.
It was just ridiculous fun. Like that's what it was. It's hard for me to give my Twitter review because I think Nick pretty much gave it. It's just popcorn nonsense. I agree with you that it's nonsense. I agree with Danny that it's nonsense, but it was just the right balance of nonsense.
No, like crazy nonsense.
It was. I don't understand it. We can talk about the plot points. So if you haven't,
I don't know what you don't understand.
Let's go into spoilers then, right, folks?
Yeah,
spoilers.
Let's go to spoilers. Let's
go.
Okay. Why did they send Kong to journey for the Master Sword down in the center of the earth? What was the point of that?
They had to follow him.
Whoa. Back up. The fucking dome over the island. How much did that cost? How did they build that? Or was there something?
It costs much less than, a destroyed city.
Or the underground tunnel.
No,
go on.
Or Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah. Well, these are the things. I understood all of it. And I absolutely think that you could have that as a film with the popcorn and the entertainment, because after I walked out of the cinema, I thought, yeah, that was fun. That said exactly what it did in the tin. But I thought the previous films were a little bit more, I can't find a better word than serious or sensible.
Grounded.
They tried to be a little bit more realistic. And then this one just went way overboard with the extra stuff. So I don't think it followed suit with the nonsense enough. Had all the other films been utter complete nonsense like this one, I think it would have sat a little bit better with me. But because they just, really did just go overboard, I think that's why it didn't sit very well with me.
I feel like they did establish all the crazy
I feel like at that
sci-fi
point
in the last movie.
Well,
like all the containment things were like, look, we built these giant bases.
About money. Yeah.
Well, it's more about logistics, right? But that island was difficult to get to. There was electrical thunderstorms all around it in Kong Skull Island and stuff. So, and wouldn't that affect? Well, yeah. So that was going to be a question. Yeah. So that's changed. So then, but why put the dome on was to keep him away from Godzilla, right? But wouldn't that have affected the whole island? Wouldn't it? The whole ecosystem on that island would be fucked up because there's no real sunlight coming through. I didn't quite understand how.
It's not the whole island. It's not the whole island. It's not the whole island.
It's just a small section. Yeah.
It's a section of it.
What that he was trapped in, so he couldn't get out.
Yeah, it's a small part. Correct.
Right. So he could smash it with a stick.
That was my big criticism too. He threw it and it hit the ceiling, but I'm like, what's keeping him from just walking to the edge and breaking through that?
Well, that's why I thought it was the whole island. So
the little girl, it's the girl.
She stops him from wandering to the edge of the dome, like what's the Jim Carrey movie where he's
Truman Show.
Truman
Ed,
Show, like the Truman Show.
what's his name? Ed Harris. She's Ed Harris.
She's the Ed Harris. She keeps him from wandering off.
She wears a little hat and a turtleneck and speaks through a microphone.
Yeah, like he starts wandering towards the edge. She's like, here's the doll of you. And he's like, oh, that's right, I can't leave.
Okay.
You got the little stuffed version of me.
You gave me a reason. I mean, okay.
Okay.
That works. Okay.
All right. So moving on from that, why does he need to see the Master Sword? Why do he need to find the Master Sword?
Well,
they needed to find the power source.
Of
so
what?
The power source that's down there. So
Why?
they don't know. What they know is that there is some energy signature down there radiating immense power, but can't get down there.
Why?
Well,
Why?
Because there's a gravity inversion that happens when you go through, and unless you have
I get that. I get that, but why are they going down there to begin with?
You
really
want
the power.
They
want the energy.
Yeah,
they
to
want
get
the
the
power
energy source.
The bad guy
so
wants it for Mega Godzilla, and the good guys are like, "Oh, it can power Las Vegas for like a week."
Right.
Or actually, that's their ships could. This is even bigger.
I will say there was definitely
it's a Manhattan Project thing.
It's like Shield, who's like, we can use the cosmic cube for energy.
Yeah. That scene where they introduced Alexander Skarsgård's character along with the Spanish guy, and they were talking. That's who was talking in that scene, right? That scene lasted decades. That was like long. I'm like, that was like a 6-minute expository scene. Usually these movies keep it to 1.5 to 2 minutes. That was long. I was like, it's still going.
But the
one you ever bring that
you still didn't get it.
Yeah.
I still didn't get it.
Bring up a scene being too long after what we watched 2 weeks ago.
I lost
interest in the director's cut.
I lost interest partway through because that's why I didn't get it, is because like this scene's still going. Like, and I don't know what they're talking about anymore because I lost interest. So
because you were too busy watching the villain twirl his mustache, because that's basically what this villain was.
So that's a question I have about this movie. Is he actually a villain though?
Yes.
Why?
Well,
because he's a dick. He's like, because they have a monster that basically saved them, and it's like, all right, we're gonna live in peace. Cool. And so like, why does he need to? The only reason to bring in a Mechagodzilla is to assert dominance for no reason other than the fact that he wants to be
Predator again. This is why the company's called Apex.
And I feel like at that point, then he's just as much of a villain as Batman is in Batman v Superman. It's the fear of the idea that Godzilla could just turn on you at any moment, and you're kind of relying on the goodwill of this thing that you can't even fucking talk to.
Yeah.
And I think I understand that as a motivation. And so I don't know that I think that he is a villain so much as he is an antagonist, maybe even like an arrogant antagonist. But I don't like, he wasn't murdering anybody.
I think maybe his motive helps. It makes him more villainous because he's not doing it to protect humanity. He's doing it so humans can be the apex predator.
Which is protecting humanity.
It's basically, it's not about protecting humanity. It's about making sure he's the best. That's the impression I got.
And that's why I liked him, not necessarily as a villain, because he wasn't saying me, he was saying humanity. And I think that that's a different thing, because watching King of the Monsters, I completely understand his point of view. Like, if you watched all of the destruction that was caused in King of the Monsters, you would be like, I can't rely on the fact that this one is just going to be okay, and we're never going to have to worry about it again.
I think they should not have had him twirling his mustache so constantly the entire movie.
I was going to say the same thing.
On paper, you're right.
Yep.
In fact, I think
100%.
He's less Batman. He's less Batman. He's more Tony Stark in Age of Ultron. Yeah. He's like, more aliens or more Titans are coming. Like, we need a suit of armor around the world, or we need our own Titan.
You need a character written and a character played like Tony Stark was, like Robert Downey Jr. played Tony Stark. I just found this guy to be the way the character came across, the way he was written, the way the actor portrayed him, made him moustache twirly and not so. I couldn't get behind exactly what you were saying, Brandon, because this guy just didn't sell it to me. He came across as moustache twirling, egotistical.
Musk.
Yeah, I like
he's
that.
Elon Musk,
and I think it's slightly a throw off.
Elon Musk is a prick. Elon Musk is a prick. Right, but he's saving the world with Tesla and emissions and helping people get to zero energy, his rockets going to other planets and introducing space tourism. But he's an asshole. And so I guess that's why I was like, is he a villain? I don't like him as a person, but the thing that he's trying to do, I get and understand.
Yeah, they should have just executed the character differently, but I agree the motivation is sound.
Yeah.
And I almost think it's a little bit of a misdirect, or it could be. Because you assume he's going to control Mechagodzilla at the end and wipe out Titans, who are kind of our heroes.
Right.
But no,
Yeah.
they lose control of it. It's not even man fighting Godzilla
it's not
versus
even
Kong.
him.
It's the alien brain, which was one of the sillier
Was the other-
things. But
It
maybe
was the
think
other kaiju though, wasn't it? Wasn't it an old kaiju that brain that they were
from the
using?
last movie,
Yes.
the post-credit
Yeah.
sequence,
From
they
the
take the
last
head
movie.
from
Which-
whatever.
King Ghidorah.
That's the other reason why I was like, this is basically Pacific Rim, because
Yes.
the exact problem that they had is the reason why they came up with the two people in the suits. The fact that he couldn't handle the feedback that he was getting from the machine, and now you're in Pacific Rim territory.
Or also Pacific Rim 2, they actually have kaiju like hacking or
Right.
controlling the Jaegers at certain points.
Before we
A
get
lot of
too
this
far
reminded me of
away-
Pacific Rim.
Okay, so going back to my
Cameron,
question.
wait. Before you get too far away from that scene that you were talking about, the one that went on forever, my confusion about that scene that I didn't realize until I was watching the credits, I didn't realize that the doctor that was in the room with them when they were talking to Skarsgård was the son of Ken Watanabe.
Oh shit!
So he
I didn't
is
realize it
Dr.
either.
Yeah, he is Dr. Serizawa, and I feel like they should have focused on that a little bit more, because I think there is some sort of motivation in there based on the fact that Godzilla is responsible for the death of his father. His father sacrificed himself to bring Godzilla back to life. And I think that there could have been a little bit more weight to his character and his motivations had they just done like a little bit more on
If I had known that,
effectively.
it would make
to
more
the
sense.
audience.
Wait, so
Yeah.
so that character that got electrocuted at the end, that was Ken Watanabe's son?
Yes.
Yeah, they really should have painted that.
Yep.
They had that scene was so long and accomplished nothing.
Yep.
Accomplished nothing for me. And like literally that's the scene I feel like is probably the single most important scene in the movie. They should have dispersed the information between like 6 other scenes throughout the movie and it would have been better.
Here's
Like,
something
it was
I
too much
realized
information all at once.
watching first Godzilla King of the Monsters and then this movie. And I have to thank Zack Snyder for it. I was watching Godzilla King of the Monsters and I'm like, oh, this isn't too bad. This is going well. Like, what am I? Like an hour and a half left. And I looked at him like, I'm already an hour through. 2-hour movies feel great now, even if they're not that good. And I thought that when Jammer's complaining about a scene being too long, I'm like, what movie did we fucking watch 2 weeks ago? Every scene was too long in that movie.
I literally was watching, but it was all engaging. This one, I wasn't engaged in a lot of the scenes. They
All
just were
engaging?
happening. No, yeah, literally. All of that Justice League scenes were engaging to me. So I was fine with it. But like this one, I got about an hour and 15 minutes. I was like, to my wife, I was like, Kirsten, I can watch the rest of this tomorrow morning. And she's like, thank you so much. Because we're going to have to watch it again this weekend. We're going to be playing a drinking game with all of my friends. And I'm like, I don't even know if I'm excited for this. Like, I don't know if I'm excited for this. I wasn't entertained. The drinking game.
No. What's the game? Like, so you watch it and every time somebody gets punched, like, what is the game?
I need to make the rules based on what I've watched. I'm thinking about every single time I don't understand what the fuck is going on, take a drink. Or every single time someone says, what's happening?
You're gonna
take a drink.
You're gonna alcohol poison yourself if you understand it's sober.
Maybe you should take a drink, Jammer, every time you understand something. Oh, I get
That's
that
a better
bit. Right,
one.
I'll have a drink. There you go.
So really quick, going back to my
Sober at the
question. So they're taking Kong to the core of the earth. Why?
Because his
energy
ancestral
power.
DNA, he knows how to get there. I know it's
Get
stupid
where?
sci-fi.
Get
to
where?
the energy source,
To the
which is what they
Hollow Earth.
want. Well, no, they know how to get to the Hollow Earth, but they need to track him in the Hollow Earth to get to the energy source.
This is some
Yeah, it's
bullshit
once they're
logic.
there. It's once they're
Can you
in the
imagine?
Hollow Earth.
That's like literally taking me and throwing me to Mexico and say, find the power source. I'm like, what does that mean?
No,
I don't
but like
know.
they make a big deal out of it. It's a stupid line to explain it, but it's just like that line they joke about and Thank You for Smoking, where he's like, well, how can they be smoking in an oxygen-rich environment? And he's like, we just throw in a stupid line like, thank God we have blah, blah, blah technology. They have one line where they're like, where Alexander Skarsgård, I think, is one realized that he's like, wait, creatures can remember stuff through their DNA. So like, maybe Kong will be able to find his way to the power source because maybe he remembers it in his DNA.
Hearing your line reading though makes me wish that Keanu Reeves played that character instead. I think that would have been way better.
Whoa, dude.
It actually would have been better.
Actually, I do want to bring up the human characters real quick. My favorite character,
Okay.
I love the podcast guy. I thought you guys
he's
would like
great.
him more
He had the
He's
best line. No,
hilarious.
he's the best
And
part of
he's
the
us.
movie. Like favorite line was when that one kid said, went to HTML camp. He's like, was it a 90s camp too? Or something like that? Was it a 90s camp? I'm like, oh,
Or the
that was a
tap
good line.
water.
Paperboy from
Tap
ATL,
water?
Brian Tyree.
Is that who it is? I'd never seen him before. I haven't recognized him.
Oh
in
yeah,
anything else.
he's in a
Anything
bunch
else?
of stuff. Was he in Hotel Artemis? think he was in that. He's in ATL. And he was in one other thing that I can't think of right now.
But that whole subplot was what? It was so random. Like it's like,
Well,
oh yeah,
was-
let's just his
he
whole
was good.
subplot with Millie Bobby Brown was dog shit.
Yeah,
Like, oh, let's just
there
go.
you go. I'm
Let's
glad
slide
Jam was with
into-
me on that.
Let's slide.
It made
Like,
perfect sense. What don't you understand?
No,
it's just fucking
No.
weird. It's like they started off in his home. They went to a coffee shop, slid into a wreckage, and then ended up in Hong Kong. What?
So here's what you have
with
to
a guy that added no value. The comedy guy, the guy,
Firefly.
The
I forget his
the
name.
kid from Deadpool?
Julian, something. Yeah.
I feel
'Cause
bad
if
for
he's-
him
I was-
because
I
he
was-
could have been anyone.
I was
Yeah,
waiting for
and
him to say, "Damn, it feels good to be a gangster." I was waiting for him to say that.
The podcast guy was fun. He was exposition. He was the comedy relief. He was that part of he was that character that the show needed. It didn't
He was
need
John
the other
C.
one.
Reilly.
It didn't need the kid from Deadpool.
I
It
did
didn't
actually
need it.
appreciate the fact that they did a trope where he was just like, "Oh, I just need to hack into this," and then he was basically just trying passwords, and then he was just like, "I'm usually just pirating movies, not doing anything else." And I thought
And
that
the
was
guy
funny.
the guy that's the tech wizard, the guy that's the really smart one that's done all this stuff and evaded capture technology wise, he's just standing behind him watching him do this instead of pushing him out
Trolling
the chair and saying, "I'm the fucking hacker here. I can do this." That's why he was completely surplus.
So I think he was there for this reason. Maybe this makes sense. You guys tell me. I think he was there to make it not as weird for someone as young as Millie Bobby Brown to just go off with some random dude.
I agree. Yeah, because they actually did a good job of avoiding those creeper aspects that they could have gotten into, like when they first went to his apartment, and I was like, "Don't go in there," and then they cut to a cafe, and I was like, "Okay." They went to a neutral location. Like they were like dodging those sort of like there's a weird old guy and two kids doing stuff to like they made sure to subvert the creepiness that could have come with it.
Celebrating a conspiracy theorist of all things. And
Nick, did you say you watched? Did you say you watched King of the Monsters recently? Like obviously before you watched this one, so fairly recent. How do you feel about how Millie Bobby Brown's character actually changed in the two films? Because I liked her in King of the Monsters. In this one, I thought that they ruined her character a little bit. Yeah, and she made her do they made her do things that seemed out of character from the previous film. I quite liked her strength and resolve in the first film that she was in, and then in this one she seemed like
running from monsters.
Yeah, just put her in like for contractual reasons, the same as I forget his name as well. Chandler, is it?
Kyle
Chandler.
Yeah. I feel bad he wasn't in more of it.
In the previous film, he had value. In this one, he was just there to look surprised or look worried in different locations around the earth.
She reminded me of her mother in the last film. Not that she was evil, but she's had growth since being involved in a Godzilla situation and almost being killed, which is why
do you think it makes sense?
I like this. As she's grown up, she's gotten into conspiracy theories, like podcasts about the monsters, because she cares about Godzilla.
But she hasn't gone into actually being as smart as she came off in the previous film. She came across as really smart in the previous film, so I get that she's grown up and she's had some experience. But now she came across as a if anything a brat, a petulant teenager having a hissy fit because daddy wouldn't listen to her. Instead of being smart decisions, she's running around like Jonesy just said, randomly hooking up with people in dodgy apartments.
Oh,
it
calm
just
down.
seemed out of character for her.
Hooking up is
not
very,
hooking up. Sorry, it's an English term. Sorry, yeah.
No, it's an American term too. But like, it's one of those things where, in the wrong context, it could sound really weird, and it did in that context.
Sorry,
I thought you were saying that too.
Meeting up. In England, we would say hooking up would be to meet someone, not to meet someone, as obviously
was it
implied there.
They say in England, chirpsing.
What's that?
Chirpsing, hitting on women.
Chirp.
Is that? Yeah,
that
thing.
Oh, I've not heard that one, but I haven't been home for 18 years, so maybe things have changed.
Yeah.
I like one that Jonesy said. I mean, God, I keep calling Danny Jonesy today, and I've said "shut up, Jonesy" when I meant "shut up, Jammer" earlier too. God, he's just on my mind in a major way. Going. Danny said something earlier that I loved. He said, "Touch wood."
Yeah,
just knock on wood. No, because I never knew that was knock
okay.
on wood. But I there's the Matt Berry CD, who's like that one comedian with the deep voice. I don't know. You have to watch his shows to know who
that
he
one
is.
Comedian?
He's my favorite comedian. He has like the deepest, richest voice. He's on like What We Do in the Shadows and the IT Crowd and a bunch of stuff. But he has albums because he can also sing in a much more beautiful voice. But some of them were sketches. At one point, he says "touch wood," and I thought it was like a dirty thing. But Danny just taught me it just means knock on wood.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wasn't paying. I
Lady
treated
Bobby
it like
Brown.
a complete popcorn movie, so I didn't even pay attention to her character growth.
Well,
as a
actually, I
positive
wanna-
or negative.
I want to
Which is
address
there.
Danny's thing. The problem, I think, is not to say that Godzilla King of the Monsters is, a highbrow smart person's movie, but compared to this movie, it is. So I think in terms of like the mechanisms of the plot, I think it's a lot more grounded and like realistic than this one, where it's just like cartoony, ridiculous. Every single scene they were in, I felt like they were about to start playing laser tag. That's what like the set design felt like to me, which is fine. It was just ridiculous and cartoony and just goofy. And I feel like she, like the other stuff that they had to do was infinitely less smart than in the previous one.
I think that's why Adam Winberg or whatever
here's the
his name
argument
is,
that I would make.
nailed it as far as studios are concerned and just gave him Thundercats or whatever, is because it's fun. The other movie is not.
It wasn't fun for
It's
me.
Boring.
This was boring.
I would say the opposite. King of the Monsters was boring.
No,
This
I
was
agree with you.
fun,
This was
poppy,
fun.
flashy.
I agree with you. No, Kong Skull Island was fun.
Yes, that one was too.
The first two Godzillas were boring because they were dry and just boring. This one was just like so stupid I couldn't follow it and boring.
I don't have time
as a result
to get into why I like the first Godzilla, but
I mean,
I like this because I thought that it was a straight up action movie, and it was probably one of the best versions of Transformers that I've seen, where you've got these ginormous titans. Yeah, and so that's why it didn't
Kaiju fuckers
bother me.
Okay.
That's why I like that she didn't have as much growth, because it's the thing that we keep asking for with the Transformers: less humans, more of the titans. So they gave Godzilla more of a personality in this. Like, his personality has been growing since the last movie. And so the scene where he's laughing because he fucking hit Kong with the nuclear blast in the back was hilarious. I'm like, is he laughing?
He definitely had a smirk on his face for sure. Yeah.
It looked like his little shoulders were shaking.
No, even better,
like
the
that.
opening with Kong is so good. Like, there's like the classic rock sign. He's like showering and like
he's going about his daily routine. He's like, hey guys,
like
follow my daily routine
rubbing
and
his
subscribe.
ass.
Subscribe.
Yeah,
Click that
he's
subscribe button.
Yeah.
He's like scratching his chest like that. And like the birds fly over his face. He's like, oh god damn it, light, sun. And they gave them so much personality that the fact that the humans took a backseat, even especially Millie Bobby Brown, didn't bother me as much, because it was fun watching them. Because they basically had a bro moment at the end of this movie where they look at each other like, I see you, you see me, and then they like fucking retreat off to their respective
They were this close to
like,
fist bumping, weren't they? Before
I mean, they even had it.
Yeah.
They even had it before that, when like Godzilla saw him and they roared at each other, and he was just all like, I respect you. I'm just gonna let you die. I'm not gonna kill you. And
right, when they're roaring right at each other's faces. So, he was kind of he didn't lie to us, the director. He said there'd be a winner. It's just then, of course, they both survive and they both have to fight Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, so Godzilla won, but then Kong won because Kong destroyed Mechagodzilla. So,
but he
I was gonna say Godzilla won because Kong was dying.
Godzilla's help.
Okay, it was the blast stuff with the hammer or the axe thing. Yeah.
I agree, Jonesy. I think the characters, the main characters had characters. I guess I was just disappointed that the human characters just didn't. Taking a back seat, yes, absolutely. But I just wish there'd have been a bit more, value to them, and not just put there for no reason whatsoever, like the kid from Deadpool. That's all. But you're right. And I really enjoyed it basically when the humans weren't on the screen. That's pretty much
the core of the Earth was gorgeous, though.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Everything I think about the movie was gorgeous. Like, not a weak special effects shot.
No,
I got a question.
Yeah.
So Nick brought up a visual reference that I missed. It was the one from Jaws.
Oh yeah, the Jaws
Godzilla
reference.
went under.
The beginning,
Yeah. I saw one. I'm curious if you guys agree with this one. When Godzilla shot the nuclear blast through the ship and Kong like jumps off, it reminded me of Die Hard. It looked like Kong,
yes.
jumping off. And I was
as soon as you say that, when he jumped with that, not until you said it, but absolutely. He just needed a hose pipe wrapped around him. He was there. Yeah.
The director's just having fun, like throwing his favorite movie references in a monster movie.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's what I liked about this movie. Again, humans took a backseat, and it was just like all of this. Like you get Jaws, you get Die Hard, you get some like basically fist bump scene, and it just they oozed so much personality between the two of them that I mean, it was like basically The Rock and Stone Cold like fighting each other, and then they've got to fight like somebody else. There was so much like it felt like the WWE. It felt like all of that stuff to me. And so for me, that's why it was able to, usually I feel like I'm the one like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But the ride was so fun for me because of all of those little things that the ride was smooth and it was just fun.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
One last thing I want to say about effects is that it's awesome to see fight scenes during the daytime for once in these franchises.
For once, not hidden and dark.
Because, because obviously the dark makes it cheaper. You don't have to do as much detail and you can hide bad special effects. Even like there's a reason why the first time we see the T-Rex in Jurassic Park is during a rainstorm. It's because they're able to hide a lot of 90s effects under the rain and the darkness. And it's really cool. They're like, hey, we're confident. We can show these guys in midday just railing on each other.
Yeah. I thought it's great. I've got a question for you. The carved
railing
gorillas
on each other.
and
I
the
don't think
carved
that's what you meant
gorillas
to
in
say.
Kong's homeworld. Well, who do you think made those?
I think that was Kong's ancestors.
Yeah, I actually like that better. That someone else made the also the axe than he built it.
Yeah.
Well, the axe looked like it was crudely fashioned, so I get that. But the statue looked pretty, meticulous.
I
Pretty
assume there were
technically
humans
fashioned.
down there at some point.
Well, I assumed that too. But Jonesy just says that maybe
there a
it
hint
was
that-
Kong's ancestors.
They hinted at that the
Genuine
girl's
question,
family lived on the island or something.
Yeah, remember
and
there's
they
a
were,
whole
like,
tribe
natives
on
there.
the island.
And that and that whole island was sort of like somehow an offshoot of the core. So
That's
I guess
true.
Yeah, it was a gateway. It was the door.
Yeah.
Or
or was like
Exactly.
part of it. Yeah, they're like, think of it as Hollow Earth
So
on
maybe
the
they were the
surface.
humans that were down there.
exactly maybe
that
her
would
ancestors.
make sense.
Yeah. I don't know how they would
Sure,
survive
that
down there
would
very long.
make sense.
I don't
Yeah.
know
without
how they
sunlight, you
survived
mean?
on-
That how did they survive without sunlight in the middle of the
sunlight? It's just the giant
And how,
crabs,
like,
the,
it's weird that they were
the monsters.
that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
They were also
way.
they
we
were in
would
the
not
core
be the apex.
they were in the core of the earth, and then all Godzilla had to do was aim downward and shoot down 50 feet, and Kong was right there, right underneath Hong Kong.
Worked. And then he inverted gravity
man.
by jumping through.
Sounds legit, makes sense.
But it
Star
looked
Trek
beautiful.
did it.
It looked
And
gorgeous.
it did look gorgeous when they did it. Even when Kong made that jump and he was going through those, were they rocks, some sort of glowing rocks or something, and he picked up one and looked at it, just beautiful, and it was stunning. I didn't have a fucking clue what was going on, what those rocks were, but it didn't matter. It looked good.
I think what I would have appreciated more is if because Kong was kind of the main character, if basically he drove the story himself rather than kind of being shepherded around by the humans. I think that would have made me connect a lot more, and it would have made it a stronger narrative.
I loved that they gave him an arc. Like that he basically
Home, exactly, the home thing.
going home. And I love that conversation about can he communicate, right? Like she was like, why didn't you tell me he could talk? Because he told me not to. And I love that implied intelligence, like that he could talk this entire time. He just chose not to. And I love that. And I'm curious. I guess one of the questions I had for Nick was, since you seem to enjoy this a little bit more than everybody else, at least as much as me, what would you want the sequel to this to be?
That's the big question I had even before watching it, is where do you go after your Godzilla versus Kong movie? It's like a franchise ender. Like, I don't, especially since they've already fought an alien. They've already fought a robot controlled by an alien. The only other direction would be Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
But that's a different world,
like,
and I think they already did that successfully in Pacific Rim. I don't think it would be, then you wouldn't know who to cheer for in that, because you're like, well, they're the type. It's basically Mechagodzilla wasted the possibility of there being a Pacific Rim crossover.
Oh, okay.
Not that they would have before anyway. I don't
some
think
sort of dormant kaiju, some sort of dormant creature that hasn't been awoken and therefore hasn't come on Godzilla's. Bless you, Jammer. Come on Godzilla's radar yet? Like Frozen.
So it's just gonna be another team-up movie, right? Like Godzilla and Kong have to fight another new monster, even though they've used up all their main I assume they're the main ones. All the ones I could name were in King of the Monsters.
You guys forget we could have a meteor hit and have another monster pop out of the meteor.
That's what we're saying.
Done.
There's plenty of places for more monsters, but why? We've made it all the way to the Avengers movie, and where do you go in this franchise after an Avengers movie when all it is
I told you,
meteor. Godzilla versus Kong? Yes, but why?
Because a meteor.
That was King of the Monsters.
Was that King of the Monsters? I don't fucking remember that movie.
One of them was an alien. He was controlling the other. Yeah, it just feels like they've done everything they can with these two characters. I mean, they'll figure something out, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd rather not see any more sequels.
I think we've
seen
just like this much of the Hollow Earth. And so I feel like with the lore that they started to introduce. So again,
Journey to the Center of the Earth.
You asked the question like who made all of this stuff. Yeah. I think that's where we'll go next.
We'll get into mythology a little bit.
Questions.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah, that's true.
And he said they shot a post-credit sequence, but they didn't put it on because they want to wait and see how fans reacted before they
moved into. I think they moved into another scene.
Oh, okay.
Because Godzilla's basically on the surface. I know he's underwater and stuff, but you could argue that Kong's now in his world, so there could be other apex predators down there that could drive it forward. And
Godzilla went into
he has to go. He has to recruit.
Movie, just not as deep.
He has to recruit Godzilla for his Hollow Earth fights.
Gives him a call. Yeah, just taps into his.
I want to talk
to you. I see Kong pull out a giant flip phone.
Yeah.
Flip phone.
Here's what
and
you do.
Presses one speed dial for Godzilla.
No, it's video jammer because he can sign language, remember? And Godzilla can probably sign language, so they'll be there themselves.
Godzilla's just like
accessibility options.
One thing I did like about the sign language, I actually thought was effective how she taught that guy coward as
yes,
brave.
I love that joke.
They paid that off really well. I thought that was
we both are.
That was cute. I like that.
I guess the direction you would go next is Planet Hulk and have them launch Godzilla and Kong into space, and then they show up on an alien planet and start fighting monsters there. That's the best way to go.
You know what I want to see? So we keep going back to the Avengers. I want to see like an Endgame scene where they have these giant suits on. They just touch a button and like they get their helmets on.
They travel through time to get the history of Hollow Earth so they can fix everything.
I'm curious how this is going to work. And so one of the reasons why I asked about the sequel is because I saw a Deadline article a little bit ago, and it said that Godzilla versus King of the Monsters roars to the best opening day during the pandemic with $9.6 million.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right?
We live in a society.
But that said, they think that it's going to make between 20 and 30 million dollars over this holiday weekend.
And it was huge in China.
Right.
Yeah, it was like $122 million or something.
I'm really curious about that.
So that number you quoted then, Jones, was US then, right? So it's 10 million US.
Yeah, that's not even worldwide.
Plus, I don't think movie studios will use this data to be like, oh, this franchise is dead. Because they know it's a pandemic. Like, it's not. There's going to be a Wonder Woman 3. They announced it before they even had numbers for Wonder Woman 2. It's obviously underperformed because of pandemic. Like,
well... This does kind of throw Connie Nielsen's comment a little bit away, doesn't it? The fact that it was a sequel that we were expecting, and now it's actually done a lot better than the previous ones.
Right. And so that's what like, is it the pandemic? I think that the other part of this is that this movie is being received better than most of these, right? So it's only behind which one?
I think it's all of them, Jonesy.
So, on Rotten Tomatoes, Skull Island, it wouldn't be behind the others.
Okay. And so definitely between the critics and the audience, it's tracking better than all of the other ones. And I think that alone not alone, but that in addition to a couple of other factors, like we're further along in the pandemic, I think it gives the studio hope that they will be able to make a sequel and keep this franchise going. I don't know where to go with it.
Because I remember after King of the Monsters came out, the word was basically King of the Monsters didn't do that word. Well, I thought the word after that was they wouldn't have made Godzilla versus Kong, but they were halfway done with it. But it's kind of like they were already like a deep in production. But I thought King of the Monsters was underwhelming, especially what they expected.
Yeah,
it's good. It's a filler movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have a lot else to say about it. I would recommend it to kaiju or like just a big spectacle. I think it's just dumb fun. So.
I recommend it exclusively to people who like kaiju movies, and I don't think anybody else.
I would recommend it to anyone who likes the dumb summer blockbuster movie. It's no
I like
worse
dumb
or no
summer
better than
blockbusters
most summer
movie.
blockbuster movies.
I
Like I would say
disagree.
this is better than like Fast and the Furious or something like that.
No,
Fuck
no,
you.
it's not.
Fuck you, Nick.
No, it's not.
All I've seen is Too Fast, Too Furious, and Fast Five.
Fast Five's
And
good,
Hobbs
though.
and Shaw.
But the thing is, if you haven't watched all of them, Fast Five falls short because you don't understand things. It's like watching
Fast
the
Five's
Avengers.
The best one. I love Fast.
Well, it's
Five.
like watching, but that's like watching the event, like Infinity War, without knowing any of the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people have done that. I thought Fast Five worked great. It's a good movie.
You just
Yeah,
said
so
this is not as good as Fast Five. All right, I gotta go, guys. I hate to say it, but I gotta hop out. None of this Nick Dahl nonsense.
Opinions
Let
are
me-
nonsense. I agree.
Don't let it get you down.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Movie's pretty good. I would recommend it to people who like kaiju movies. It was fun. I just apparently don't like fun. So
You said it was pretty
that's-
good.
yeah, it was good, but I mean, I thought it was fine. It was okay. Wait, did I say it was pretty good? I said it was hot
Yes.
nonsense.
You just said
No,
that's
what
not
you said
good.
It's
earlier.
pretty
You
good.
just said it was pretty good.
It's like it's pretty good. I only recommend it to kaiju fans, though. You just said that.
If you're a very specific wants, like if you like are looking for a very specific thing, sure, I guess it fills that void. But anything else beyond that, no,
If you like DC, you'll definitely like this. There,
no,
you said it.
that's not true because I don't like it that much.
I'm so
Piss you
very
off.
confused by everything that you're saying right now, Jammer. You went from
It's like
good
watching
to
Godzilla
I
versus
don't
Kong
like-
all over
I
again.
get that much. Yeah, it's like this. You've literally
You know,
said
I
within
think
this sentence,
I
like,
think
it's
I
pretty
think
good and it's also
I
dog
I
shit,
think
like,
I
okay,
accidentally said.
You Nick
I
Dahl
think
did.
I actually did not. I didn't. I think I did. I don't think
You
I meant to
McDowelled
say
it.
pretty good. I think I meant to say like it's okay if you like a specific thing, and I think that came out as that's
Gums,
pretty
it's your
good.
herpes. It's your herp derp again. Is that what it is?
Yeah. All right. If this was an episode of Friends, it'd be the one with the herpes. On
Now
that
you gotta do
note,
the George Costanza. You're like, I'm out.
I'm out. I'm out.
Oh shit.
Fucker. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
Jammer.
all right. Do you guys want to do Who Watches or you want to shut it down? It's up to you guys.
I'd be down.
Different.
I watched all of Invincible. So it's out so far.
That is pretty good. Okay, we can't do Who Watches and Danny hit. So
That's
watch it.
my tomorrow viewing straight
Watch
after
I'll just say,
straight after we've
recommended.
been bird watching. Straight after bird watching, it's Invincible time.
Yeah, highly recommended. And then
The voice cast is
also-
crazy. I didn't know
Yeah, it
Walton
is.
Goggins was that guy until I looked it up.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
J.K. Simmons is an obvious, very obvious casting and voice, but
And I really love him in that role, but I don't want to say too much. I'm gonna wait until next week.
Yeah.
because I want to get.
Yeah, please do.
Danny's thoughts.
Sorry
But I will
guys. Yeah,
say
that's
this.
my viewing.
I did
So-
start reading this comic book a long time ago, and I never got to finish it. So now that I watched a cartoon, I was like, God damn it, I really want to finish this. So I bought the compendiums. So there are 3 volumes for like $60 on Kindle. So I got all those, and I'm going through it now.
wait,
Still really good.
if you're a Prime user, the first 3 volumes are free.
No.
That's what I thought they
the-
advertised until May something.
So maybe first 3 collected volumes. These
Yeah.
are 3 like of all of them. So there
Omnibuses.
are yes.
Okay,
So there are at
good.
least 25 volumes of this comic book total. And I think I've read 10.
Okay, so yeah, the
So-
first 3
Wow.
smaller ones are available for free. So I was going to read those too
Cool.
before May.
It's good. It's worth reading. The other thing that I've seen is Them, and I can't wait till you guys get a chance to see it. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah. It's pretty much been
Yeah.
because my nephews have been in the house this week. So those 2 shows that we've just been talking about are pretty much non kids around kind of shows, which have been.
Well, it's funny. I'll tell you this. The first episode of Invincible, I was like, I remember this comic book being way worse than this. And then
Yeah.
at the end of the first episode, I was like, okay, you earned it. There we go.
Okay, well, I was going based on the trailer and obviously the certification that it had with it, but yeah, so I've kind of
Right.
said, yeah, no, we're not going to watch this. Yeah,
Yeah, no.
When you
like,
go back
even
to-
with this,
when-
I was like, is this TVA made? Like nothing's really happened. And I was like, oh, okay, there we go.
cool. What have you been watching, Nick?
Besides that, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I don't know. It's been a weird. Oh, I'm watching Breeders. I recommend Breeders. Its second season
is-
just started. It's an FX show, but if you have Hulu, FX comes out the next day. It stars Martin. It stars and is based on an idea from or even a sentence from. It's like this cheesiest thing from Martin Freeman. Him and a British actress. I don't recommend. It's about them having kids and dealing with it. But like the first episode is the kids won't sleep and the parents are taking turns every half hour. They're like 3 and 5 or something. It's not like they're a new couple with babies. But Martin Freeman's the kind of dad who the very first scene he's trying to do work and his kids are loud. He runs in and he's like, shut the fuck up. He's like, if you keep staying this noisy, I will leave. And then mommy will cry and then you will cry because he has an anger issue. And then he's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm just
holy shit.
So the first season is pretty good. God, it has some really weird Halt and Catch Fire type moments where you're like, this is a comedy. And then suddenly you're like, oh, fuck, that thing does happen in real life. And then the second season, which just started on FX, it's interesting. They jump ahead. Suddenly they're like preteens and a teenager and have different kids.
Is it a US show or a British show that they're just showing on Hulu?
I think it's a British show they're showing on
well, because then we might have it here on if it's a British show, we might have it here because we have BBC and ITV, so the UK terrestrial channels, we have those here. So if it's an English show, we've probably got it without needing FX or Hulu. Or whatever.
And there's only one American actor on the first season, as far as I can tell. So the guy from Jimmy's brother on Better Call Saul, I forget the actor's name. He's like in all sorts of those Christopher Guest movies.
Okay,
but yeah. I don't know. That caught up. And I watched the entire season of Solar Opposites, season 2, the day it came out, just like I did with the first season. I think it gets better in the second season, and it has just like every 5 seconds. I've never seen a show with so many references, probably besides Community. Like there's a part where a character's like, I can read, and then suddenly Ron Howard comes on and says, he can't, and then it plays the Arrested Development theme. And you're like, what the fuck?
That's funny. That's what that reminds me of, is we didn't talk about the fact that there was a new Rick and Morty trailer that dropped, and we got a date. The new episodes start in some new
unless
season.
They drop one magically today because it's April Fool's Day when we record this.
That would be awesome.
Remember they did that one? They only did that once, and that was years ago.
Yeah.
What's weird is I would say Rick and Morty is my favorite show of the two. Yet I've watched all of Solar Opposites multiple times. Not the most latest season. And I haven't even watched the last 2 seasons of Rick and Morty. So it's like, it's almost like I'm telling, like I say Rick and Morty is my favorite, but really based on my viewing habits, it would suggest that I prefer Solar Opposites, which is weird.
I'll say this. There's only one other thing that I'm watching, or I just finished. It was Demon Slayer on Netflix. So it's an anime. I think that if you watch the first 3 episodes, I got into it at the end of the 3rd episode. So again, just like Magica Modica, like there's this moment where you're like, okay, where the fuck is this going? And then you get to a moment and you're like, okay, I'm in. And so that happened in the show for me. And then I ended up watching the whole thing. And it's about a kid whose sister gets turned into a demon by another demon. So he's on a quest to try to cure her. And on his quest, he becomes a demon slayer. So he has to basically level up so he can survive. And it's fun to watch. If you like anime.
Is it a one season show, or you think it's going to be a continuation afterwards?
There is an entire season out now, and there is a movie coming out soonish, like
on Netflix too. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to watch that. Looking forward to it. And that's it. Dan, you watching anything else?
Well, it's funny you mentioned Walton Goggins earlier. I've actually only just recently discovered Justified.
That's the first thing I saw him in.
Three seasons in, or sorry for Jonesy, 3 seasons in of Justified. And I knew I was going to enjoy it, but it was one of those, I know there's 7 or 8 seasons or 6 seasons of it. So I've got to make sure that when I start it, because I'm one of those people, once I pop, I can't stop. So now I'm going to have to go through the whole thing. The only show, and we talked about this before, the only show I haven't done that with is fucking Walking Dead. Everything else, once I started it, if I like it, of course, I've plowed through. So yes, Justified, and Walton Goggins at the moment, season 3 is still in it.
I will say this.
I love that show, but I haven't finished the 2nd season.
Oh,
it's weird. I need to get back into it.
Oh, well, I just spoiled it for you then, Nick. I apologize. There was me thinking you were going to spoil it for me. Walton Goggins survived season 2.
So I've watched
10 years old.
And I will tell you this, like, that show probably has one of the most satisfying endings. Like,
oh, good.
To me, I feel like shows are hard to stick the landing.
Yeah.
And this is
Dexter.
one. And you will probably be able to find it in my Twitter thread somewhere. Like, I think about that ending. Like,
oh wow,
frequently.
I should get back on that show.
It was that good. Yeah, it's
cool.
absolutely worth finishing. So
yeah, I knew I was going to enjoy it, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get to season 6 if it carries on like this. So that's pretty much been the week because I've been waiting for the boys to leave so I can get onto the other stuff, the more grown up stuff.
Fuck off.
Stuff that's not justified. It wasn't justified.
Yeah, not that justifies that kid friendly, but it's up past their bedtime. I can get 2 episodes in and then I'm done. And then so it takes a bit of time to get through it. But that's all it's been so far. It's been my Walton Goggins fix with Justified.
Yeah, that show is actually the reason why I watched The Unicorn now on CBS.
Isn't it good? My friends watched it because of him. And they're like, it's bad.
It's funny. I don't think it. So it's.
I'm not a CBS fan, let's say, or even like live.
You probably wouldn't like it, but for where I am in my life, it's cute.
I get that.
So it's a guy he's a widower, and he's trying to raise his daughters, and he's back out in the dating world, and he's got friends who are married with kids, and they're interfering with his life in a cute and funny way. So it's fun to watch, and I like it. So, and I think he's good in it. Like he's eager as well.
Oh, he's a very good comedic actor.
So that's it. Anything else?
No, it's good.
Wrap it up for this week. Shut it down.
Finish the herpes show. Let's wrap up the herpes episode. Put a bit of cream on it and put it to bed.
I should call it the one where Jammer has herpes.
So, dear listeners, if you like this, if you like what you heard, do all the socials. Like, rate, comment, subscribe, and share. We definitely appreciate it. Also, LRM Online has other great programs for listening pleasure. And you can find those all on Jammer's gone. Yeah, I'm all
Jammer's not here.
Jammer's not here anymore. Danny, where can you be found?
Mostly in the Twitterverse at Danny K. Bartlett. And as discussed before, if we get on the Discord channel and keep those conversations flowing there. I will just quickly add, as we wrap up the show, we did have one question on Instagram when I told people that we were recording in a few hours' time. And that question was whether or not I was going to be the next James Bond. Well, I would love to tell you all this, but unfortunately, due to contractual obligations, I can't say whether the answer is yes or no. So apologies there. So that's all I can say at this time.
Okay.
You heard it here first, folks.
Heard it here first.
You heard fuck all here first.
Oh, you heard first. That's right. Where can you be found?
At Geeky Nick Doll on Twitter. And I do this in Marvel Multiverse Mondays. And I write for the site. And it's all a lot of fun.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sir Jonesy, contributing to the website and right here on Breaking Geek Radio. Folks, as always, thanks for listening, and we will catch you on the next one. Hasta lasagna.
Duncan Yanya.
Mission accomplished. Do, 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 do.